Hello and welcome to the Beginner's Journey. I'm Karina, and today I'm going to be leading you through a beginner-friendly yoga class for tight hips. So tight hips can contribute to things like low back pain. It can also contribute to emotional overwhelm. So if you're somebody who maybe feels really stressed or like you're just feeling really overwhelmed by emotions, this class is going to be really great. We're going to start stretching into some of those areas that could actually be contributing to those feelings of emotional overwhelm. This is also great for improving mobility of the hips, the legs, the low back. So it should really help you in a lot of different areas to just feel better in your body and also help you feel better in your mind as well. We're going to begin today's class just taking some spinal circles. So come into your nice, easy seated, cross-legged position. And we're just going to find a nice elevated spine here. You can just adjust as needed so that you feel your sitting bones nice and grounded and connected to the mat beneath you. So from here, with a nice tall spine, even maybe imagining a string lifting you up, really creating lots of space and lots of height through the spinal cord. From here, we're just going to bring the upper body forward a little bit and start to make some little circles here. So I want you to focus on keeping your sitting bones connected with the mat. So don't make such a big circle that you feel your hips lift up on one side. Instead, keep the circles small enough that you're just bringing motion through that low back and sacrum. You're not actually lifting up your hip off the mat. Breathe here. And now we'll go the other direction. So starting to bring the body the opposite direction, taking some nice slow deep breaths here. And just noticing maybe any sensations you're starting to feel in the low back. Breathe into it. If you find an area that feels a little bit tight, maybe you stay there for an extra second. Just breathing into that area of tension. So now we're going to transition into a kneeling position. So coming up onto your knees here, if your knees feel sensitive when you do this, you can either double up the edge of your yoga mat underneath your knees, or even place a folded towel or folded t-shirt under your knees to just give them a little more padding. So from here, just take a moment. We're going to tuck our toes back behind us. So you're actually kind of stretching the toes here behind you. And if it feels okay to actually bring your weight back onto your heels, so you're actually using your weight to stretch the toes, you can do that. Or if it feels better to just kind of stay with your hands placed down and just kind of slowly moving into that stretch, just start to notice the sensation that you feel in your toes here. This can be quite intense, this little kind of deep toe stretch, especially if you've sat your weight all the way back down on your toes. Just breathe here for a moment. And whenever you need to come out, just come out nice and slowly, bringing your body weight forward so you can hold yourself up, and then just kind of slowly pointing and flexing the toes a little bit. So we just kind of bring some movement back there, starting to bring some blood flow into the feet and ankles. And then go ahead and come up to a kneeling position here. So you can keep those toes tucked behind you if that feels good. And then feeling nice and strong through your right leg, we're gonna bring our left leg up next to us. So you may need to adjust a little bit to make some room for the hips, but the idea is that our left leg is opened up, our foot is kind of parallel with the edge of the mat, right, or perpendicular to our body. And from here, notice that you can really do a lot with the rotation of your hips. So when you first come out, you might be kind of facing this way, but I want you to keep thinking about opening this hip, but bringing your hip bones forward. You can place a hand against this knee here just to feel even more stretch through that inner groin. Breathe here, standing up nice and tall. There's a lot going on just with this little movement. So just breathe into any areas that feel a little tense. And then from here, we're gonna side bend over our left leg here. So lift your right arm up, nice and tall. And then we'll just start to fold over to the left. You can either place your hand or your forearm down. And I want you to notice that your arm stays in line with your body. So rather than coming forward a lot, really try to keep the arm in alignment over your body and just feel that nice stretch that we're getting through the right side body. Inhale as you lift yourself back up, and we'll switch sides. So coming through kneeling again here. Now we're gonna leave the left leg planted and put our right leg up over here. So once again, already I notice my hip bones are facing this way, so I'm gonna peel my hip bones forward, encouraging this leg to open. Go ahead and lift that left arm up. Nice big inhale, and then exhale as you fold over your right leg. Really nice inhale to bring you back up, and then we'll just go ahead and kind of sit down. You can either put the feet flat and kind of sit back on your heels, or sit in a regular comfy position. Just letting the body kind of sit in a neutral position for a moment before we take our gate pose again. So now we'll come back onto our kneeling position again. You can go ahead and tuck the toes behind you once more and give yourself a little bit more room this time, because now we'll put our left leg up. And you can stay in this position. If you were kind of feeling like this was plenty, then stay here. But if you're ready to move into the next kind of expression of gate pose, you're actually going to extend that left leg. So you plant the heel of the foot on the mat, and then your toes are pointing up. Keep this leg nice and engaged. So you're kind of not just letting the foot be kind of asleep there, but kind of feeling that you're flexing the toes back towards you, and you should really feel that inner thigh stretch engage. So once again, hands on the hips. Your left hand can come to rest either on the top of your knee or back behind your leg. Once again, we'll lift that right arm up. Take a nice big inhale to lengthen, and exhale, start to fold over your leg. Once again, keeping the arm over the body. It's very intense here, so now we get a stretch through the right side body and the inner thigh of the left leg. Breathe. And inhale to come back up through center. Nice and slowly, coming out the way that we came, and starting to transition to the other side. I'm just gonna pull over here, give myself a little bit more room. Coming to our kneeling position, and then bringing this leg either to plant the foot on the floor next to you, or going ahead and extending that right leg, planting the heel of the foot down. Bring those hip bones to face forward. And here we are, lifting up the left arm, nice big inhale, and exhale as you fold over your leg. Kind of peeling the arm almost back behind you in a way to really keep the body aligned. Inhale as you come back up through center. And from here, we're gonna start moving into our Malasana, or Yogi squat. So from this kneeling position, if you have your block, go ahead and grab it. From this kneeling position, we're gonna start to bring that left leg out in front of us. So kind of similar to how we were in our gate pose, but now rather than the leg being completely to the side, you can bring it a little bit forward. From here, you can either reach for the floor, use your block, or maybe a little table or ottoman. I encourage you to use any little things you have lying around the house to help make your yoga practice more fun. And from here, we're just gonna bring this other foot up next to us and start to sit the hips down. So the first couple times you do this can be quite intense. You can kind of lubricate the hip joint a little bit by just kind of swaying from side to side here. Breathing into those hips. This is also a great way to strengthen the knees. If this feels awkward at first, that's totally fine. Just kind of keep coming back and practicing. And over time, it starts to feel really good in your body and very natural for the body. So if your feet are not able to come flat underneath you, that's okay. So your feet might kind of start out, your toes are kind of bent, right? So you're just kind of toe balancing. This actually might be even harder. And the idea is that we sit with a nice tall spine, the hips are very open, and you can even use your elbows to stretch the hips open a little bit more. Now, if you put a little bit more space between your feet, then maybe over time, you can sit into your full Malasana Yogi squat. Ooh, maybe you fall back and land on your bum. So if you fall down on your boot, no problem. Just come right back into it, right? So we'll come back to our kneeling position here. This time, let's go ahead and start with our right leg. If you're still holding your Malasana, great job. But if you're joining me here, coming back into it, we'll start with the right leg this time. And then I like using a block here. It's really nice. If you have a block, I encourage you to use it. Kind of warming up those hips a little bit. And like I said, more space between the feet will make this a little bit easier. And over time, your feet will actually flatten out underneath you. Again, kind of using the elbows a little bit here to kind of encourage the... Again, I'm just kind of using my elbows here to even encourage a little bit more opening. You can see my heels don't quite want to flatten down to the floor. That's totally fine. And then you can kind of come back out for a second, coming back to just either come to your hero's position, where you're actually sitting back on your heels, or your comfortable, easy seat. All right, great job. So in your easy seated position here, just take a second, switch your legs. So whichever leg is normally in front, just switch them. And then we're gonna take those little spinal circles once more. So sitting up nice and tall with our new fun leg position, which might feel a little wonky at first, but that's why we're doing it. Let's go ahead and lean forward a little bit, and we'll start this time moving to the left. So little circles again, just moving the body without lifting the hips, lifting the sitting bones off the mat. And just feeling that little spinal movement, spinal articulation as we make some circles. And now we'll reverse the direction. So now moving to the right, using your breath to help your body calm down, maybe handle any emotions that start to come up as we stretch through the hips. And then coming through center here. So for a second, we're just gonna turn to the side. So with the leg straight here, nice tall spine, we're gonna bend this left knee, bringing it in, sitting up nice and tall once more. And then take this left leg, you can even pick it up if you want to. We're gonna place it on the other side of your right leg. I encourage you to just kind of go where feels nice. I'm like a little bit above the knee. If it feels better to have the leg a little farther out, that's fine as well. Then from here, sitting up with a nice tall spine again. You'll plant your left hand back behind you. It helps you sit up straight and tall here. And your right arm can either just kind of hug this left knee. If you really want a big stretch, you can actually bring the elbow around the left knee the other way. But for me, this is really nice and comfortable. So big inhale, sitting up nice and tall, and then exhale, twist over your left shoulder. You should feel this great twist through the spine as well as a stretch through the side of your left hip. Nice and slowly coming back through center. And we're gonna switch the position of the legs. So now the right foot will come to the opposite side of the left leg, sitting up nice and tall. You can plant your right hand back behind you and take whatever position feels comfortable of your arm around your bent knee. So inhale, lengthen the spine, and on your exhale, twist over your right shoulder. Nice and slowly coming back out the way you came in. We'll just for a moment come to bring the soles of the feet together. You can use your hands or your fist to lift you up a little bit, either bringing your body a little closer to the feet or a little farther from the feet. We just want to find a nice comfortable position here. We can sit up nice and tall, finding that long spine. And just breathing here for a moment, noticing any emotions or feelings that are coming up for you here. And if you want a little bit more stretch here through our final pose of this class, you can just start to walk the upper body over your legs. Breathe, feeling that nice stretch through the inner thighs. Sitting up nice and tall, breathing into this really nice gentle stretch. We're getting through the hips here. And then keeping your feet planted together, I'm gonna scoot down the mat a little bit. But we're gonna come to recline onto our backs. So kind of coming onto the forearms for a moment. If this already feels plenty intense, you can just stay here. Or if you'd like a little bit more, I'm actually pushing into my forearms, bring my heels a little bit lower so I can roll my back all the way down onto the mat. And we'll just rest in this Baddha Konasana, or bound angle pose, where the feet are just gently kind of pressed against each other here. You can use your hands not to push down on your legs, but just place them on your legs and allow the weight of your hands to just gently invite the hips to open a little more. From here, nice and slowly, go ahead and extend your legs long. So now we're coming into our full Shavasana. So legs are extended out long on the mat, take up lots of space, but know that when the legs are completely relaxed, they will splay open. So you're actually kind of on the edges of each foot here. Go ahead and place your hands down next to you with your palms facing up. And just breathe here. So a lot of times, the body stores emotions in the hips, partly because this is the region where we have our reproductive organs, our sexual organs, partly just because there's so much motion that comes from this hinge joint at the low back. A lot of times we are only doing motions that are forward and backwards. So the opening of the hips, the stretching of the hips isn't something we get a lot in our daily lives. And it just becomes an area that typically the muscles are quite tight, and sometimes even our kind of emotional responses and emotional feelings can kind of get stored up in those tight muscles. So as you lay in your Shavasana here, just notice any of those emotions that are coming up for you. And know that it's completely natural, normal, and 100% human to be feeling emotions coming up when you're doing deep hip stretches. I invite you to spend a few more minutes in a silent Shavasana if you'd like to pause the video here. Or whenever you're ready, we'll take a big full body stretch. So starting to lift the arms up overhead, reaching really tall. You can point through the toes, feeling this long line of energy in this full body stretch. And then bending the knees, planting the feet on the floor, we'll just start to roll onto our side body here. Using your arm like a little pillow for a moment. One more nice, long, slow exhalation. And then push into your planted hand to help push you up into a comfy seated position. From here, we'll bring our palms together. This is called Anjali Mudra. And then putting your hands at heart center. So just so that your thumbs kind of press into the top of your chest, go ahead and drop your chin towards your chest, gazing down at your fingers. The highest and brightest in me honors the highest and brightest in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today and for allowing me to share something with you that has helped me so much in my own life. I invite you to revisit this class as often as you would like, and remember that each time you revisit some of these uncomfortable poses, they become more and more natural and feel better and better in your body. We have a lot more classes on our app, Yoga Plus, and you can start your free 14-day trial today to start checking out some of our premium programs like 30-day yoga and so much more. I can't wait to see you there. Thank you so much for joining me and have a beautiful rest of your day.
Welcome to Yoga Plus. Courses available from pupil to yogi. Sort by yoga, fitness, and instructors. Create your own routines. Access the pose library. Yoga Plus by Psychetruth, available on Google Play and the App Store.
Join us for 14 and 30-day programs, hour-long classes, and much more on our yoga app, Yoga Plus by Psychetruth. It's free to download and features a variety of wellness content, including yoga, fitness, Pilates, guided meditations, and interviews with dozens of wellness experts.